Okay, thanks for tuning in. Today I am on Yamaha's latest Tenere T7 World Raid. It is the Tenere on steroids. Improvements to suspension, importantly fuel capacity, air boxes, pegs. There's a whole bunch of upgrades, and it is in Australia $5,000 more than the standard Tenere. So a couple of questions to answer. Is it any good? Does it live up to all the hype? And is it worth the $5,000? So let's spend a day or so riding it and find out.
So the biggest changes on it, KYB different front and rear suspension, bigger tanks. It's got a TFT screen, but that is coming in 2024 on the latest normal Tenere. Things like rally pegs. The tanks are lower in it, and you've got the twin tanks. They sit lower than the normal tank. You've got things like that, Olin steer and dampener. So you get on it, it's kind of a nice look. I've been riding it now for pretty much a day, knocked out a few hundred kilometres on it. And it's a really fun bike to ride. The suspension, I would say, if we talk of the highlights, the suspension is definitely the highlight. This KYB suspension is as good as you will get on any adventure bike. It soaks up the bumps, it's supple, it's got plenty of feel. Certainly on the bitumen you can roll it through corners, and it's so predictable. Mid-corner bumps, mid-corner change of direction, all work really great. So as good as anything I've ridden, certainly up there with the best that KTM have to offer in that respect. And so fantastic suspension. Obviously the fuel range is a huge plus, 24 litres, so it gives it some serious touring capacity. So probably at the top of the highlights I'd make those two. And then third is the ergonomics, the seating position. I've literally been riding it straight now for 150, 160 k's, and it's been just beautiful to ride. So the seat's comfy. The handlebars are actually quite high. Often when I get on adventure bikes I feel like putting bar risers on them, and this I'd be touch and go whether I need to be honest. The dash is really clear, so it's a nice riding experience. Now as far as riding on the road goes, I'd probably make the point that the motor, it's a really solid, it's an adequate motor is what I'd say. It's not as lively, and this is 16 kilos heavier than the normal one, so it's a 220 kilos, and then you're adding 24 kilos of fuel, 24 litres, so you're getting pretty heavy. So the motor's working hard. It certainly doesn't have the responsiveness of the KTM 890, but that is 200 cc's bigger, so you don't expect that either. It does a good solid job, don't get me wrong. The mid-range is where it's sweetest, so revving it right out is not the most thrilling experience, but if you work that mid-range, that 4, 5, 6, 7,000 revs, then it runs really nice, it's smooth, it pulls well. If you're sitting, I was sitting on this ride on 100 kilometres an hour behind a big double road train, and 6 gear went to pass, and you'd certainly feel like you've got to be using the gearbox. So you'll use the gearbox to get the best of its performance. But in saying that, it's a motor that's going to run all day. It's it'll be great for touring, and when you're on the dirt, it is more than adequate. You don't need any more power than this when you're on the dirt. The brakes are also one of the highlights. I missed that, those Brembo brakes. So that handling braking package on it is absolutely 10 out of 10, first class, and as good if not better than any other mid-range adventure bike. So what are the drawbacks, the downsides? I think it's really disappointing on a bike that's meant to do this that it doesn't have cruise control. Even, I'm not sure, I'll double check, but I'm not sure if that's an option on them. But I don't think so, and I think that's a mistake. So If you're going to do, you know, 3, 4, 500 Ks in a day, there's going to be a chunk of that you just want to sit back and relax and not worry about getting speeding tickets. Or so I would want cruise on a bike, you know, it's $25,500. The other thing, doesn't have quick shift. Again, I'll double check if that's an option and make a note in the video. I think that would be a nice part. It's got a good solid gearbox. You know, it feels really, you know, very direct, very specific. You're not going to miss gears or anything. But it would be nice, you know, in some circumstances to have it as quick shift. You know, so if you're busy or you're in the gravel, you're not taking your hands off. Yeah, they're probably the two main downsides. I'm not sure about the width of the tank at the front. When you're standing up, if you're climbing something quite steep, that may be a bit limiting about getting your body weight all the way forward easily. If you're a bigger guy, it's probably okay. If you're smaller, I think that'll be a struggle. But, you know, certainly for normal adventure trail riding, you know, if you're not in a gnarly single track, it's stunning. It's very neutral, it's very balanced. And I do love this segment of motorbike, you know, that mid-range adventure bikes. I think, you know, if I could only have one bike, this is what I'd have in this, you know, and it'd be a toss-up between this and the KTM 890. Comes in two colours. I gotta say, I mean, the black's nice, but the blue they do on it is stunning, and certainly that would be my choice. So if we have a bit of a close-up look at it, obviously some of the things that, you know, are the big additions are those pretty sexy KYB suspension. So more travel, great dampening. You would not do a thing to those. You know, really well optioned, like Brembo brakes. Got some interesting things on these that they have in this little cover inside there. I don't know if you can see it, but they've got that alloy, it's like a drop guard. Yeah, so pretty clever. If you do drop it, that, yeah, you'll damage all this plastic, but actually structurally underneath you won't. They've gone for bigger rally pegs on those. So again, something you probably, if you're riding a lot on the dirt, you'd spend money on, and you don't have to. So when you come around, probably the thing you do notice, because of those tanks, it is a wide bike at the front. Yeah, bit of theatre, because you've got the twin filler caps, you've got that Öhlins steering dampener on there, and you've got the full TFT dash, which is a really nice dash. The quality of it's really good. All the controls, pretty standard stuff on the left hand side, and then the main thing you've got is, you might be able to see it down there, you've got this toggle switch, yep, down there, that controls all the modes and whatnot on the right hand. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but all nicely laid out. Yeah, so just has that appearance of a big bike. Doesn't ride like it once you're up and going. You've got sort of, you know, pretty decent fairing coverage at the front there. So for a long trip, you're probably not going to have to spend much. You've got some plastic back busters you might want to upgrade. You know, put some metal ones in there if you're going to do a lot of off-road. But different seat on these to the normal Tenere, and this one's really comfy, really nice. So well done, Yamaha. Let's go and have a ride and have a play. Yeah, so look at handles, beautiful. This stuff on the rear, I like that, nice and bumpy. Just turn it, you get very controllable lines. You just tip it in, like through the corners. That KYB suspension, sensationally good job. It's up there with a lot of good road bikes in that sense. Just got more travel and soaks it up, a bit more kind. Yeah, that's lovely. And then the wonderful thing, of course, about an adventure bike, if we get to a spot like this and go, why don't we go and take the gravel, eh? Yeah, it's particularly slippery out here at the moment, but this is where the rally raid really comes into its own. Now this one's from the factory. They only come with like an all-terrain tyre, so you're not getting a lot of traction. It's nice and sure-footed. You can feel it wants to dance around, but everything does at the moment. Yeah, so this is its natural, you know, just where this, and all of a sudden now the motor feels like it's got more than enough power. You know, on the road I always feel like, oh, I wish it just had a little bit more, whereas out here you're going, the power delivery is beautiful. Oh, a few of the locals up ahead, little baby. Here we go, mate. There you go, Skip. Just lost mum, so yeah, like that. Just really nice. As I say, I love this suspension. Yeah, this is us. Yeah, it lights up pretty easy, you know, so yeah, the power delivery is really nice on the gravel. I really like that. Yeah, it's where you're going to use mid-range all day. And it's quite manoeuvrable down low. Feels like, you know, it's an easy bike to turn in, get right on the line you want. And as I say, at the moment our tracks are super slippery, so super slippery, and half road, half non-road tyres, you know, they're not the ideal for today. Yeah, I'd happily ride this on the gravel all day. And you can make it dance a little bit. That's fun. Decent hit. Oh man, that suspension is epic. Yeah, great job, Yamaha. I actually prefer it on the gravel to on the bitumen, and that's saying something because it's solid and really good on the bitumen, the handling, but I think this is just the perfect balance of power to performance to handling to braking. Yeah, and it just feels a fraction, like it would love a fraction more on the bitumen. Now, it might be you put an exhaust on it, open it up a bit, you might gain a little bit there. That might just tip it over. Like that. Just that 4, 5, 6, 7,000 revs, that is its absolute sweet spot. And I think we're this way. Find our way out of here. Like that, over those corrugations. Look, it's dancing around, but does a really great job. That's impressive. Okay, let's sum up the Tenere. It is a really nice, impressive bike, good suspension, brilliant brakes, well, probably better than good suspension, amazing suspension, brilliant brakes, really comfortable to ride, got good fuel range, and I was a little underwhelmed with the motor on the bitumen. The moment you get in the dirt, the motor is, oh, so sweet. It is the absolute sweet spot. So if you're doing a lot of gravel riding, you're going to enjoy this thing. I think if I bought one, I'd put a muffler on it, get a bit more sound. It's a bit choked, maybe a fraction more performance on the road, and put a decent set of off-road tyres on it and go and have a wonderful time. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. it's grown on me as the last day or so has gone on. So if you're going to take this for a ride, make sure you ride it on the road and on the dirt. It is it's a bit Jekyll and Hyde like in that respect. They've definitely built this to be a great dirt bike. So well done, Yamaha. Hey, thanks for tuning in. A few more bikes coming up in the next few weeks, so yeah, keep your eye out and we'll have a bit of fun on some other toys. Again, thanks to the Jared and the crew at Savage Motorcycles for letting me have a play, and thanks to Yamaha for building a wonderful bike. See you guys.